Why, I can't believe we've got a second season of this show. I'm still not over the first season. Hello, cartoon fanatics, RJ here, and welcome back to Cartoon Corner. Today we're covering, you guessed it, Infinity Train. I've spent the past week scavenging for the episodes, and now I finally have all the pieces to present to you my ongoing thoughts throughout Book 2. After the tense, high-paced, emotionally gripping excitement of Book 1, I was really looking forward to this next installment, so let's see what Book 2 had in store for us. Book 2 focuses in on Mir Tulip, or MT, as she wanders the train running from the Mir cops, also known as Flex, who are still trying to kill her for wanting to be more than a reflection. She befriends this odd, mystical deer that is borderline creepy, and also reluctantly befriends passenger Jessie. Her goal is to help Jessie get off the train so she can continue her life solo, with maybe the exception of the deer. And from there, it's a whirlwind of how to get Jessie's number down while averting the threat of the Flex. Starting this season, I wasn't as immediately engaged as I was with the beginning of Tulip's arc. It was cool to see MT change her image to try and become her own person, but it didn't have quite the same emotional punch as Tulip running away to camp because her divorced parents can't take her there. Once the deer and later Jessie are introduced, things begin to really kick off. MT and Jessie have completely opposite personalities, and their dynamic is great when they have to work together. MT is determined to be her own person and not be molded into anything else, while Jessie is constantly changing to make everyone around him happy, especially those he considers his friends. He's the typical popular chameleon, and I've totally known people like this in real life. They change their likes, dislikes, and opinions solely based on whoever around them believes in exchange for friendship, but it's usually a hollow friendship with not much under the surface. It becomes apparent pretty quick that this chameleon attitude is what got Jessie on the train, but it's certainly difficult for him to admit it. Before he meets MT, his number had actually gone up, despite it being at a low 32 when we are first introduced to him. He's a totally different character from Book 1's Tulip, which is exactly what I was hoping from Infinity Train. Different personalities going on a journey of self-discovery. Good stuff. And because adventures are always better with threes, I don't know if that's true, just let me have this please. Our third companion is this super strange, overpowered deer that Jessie names Alan Dracula. This deer is a mystery of itself. I had so many questions going into these episodes. Where did this deer come from? Why does it have all of these insane powers? What is its motivation? Alan Dracula's just kinda there assisting our characters, but we can tell after the parasite car that Alan does have some sort of attachment to MT and Jessie, and he does seem to be aware of free will when he fights off the parasite. Also, he's the closest connection we have to the mysterious holes and damage we see in the shorts with 1-1 before Book 2 aired. Is this deer good in the long run, or is he ultimately going to try and harm our characters? Is he like Atticus, or is he like something else entirely different that came from the wastelands with all the creatures that were sucking souls? There is this cool music cadence at the beginning where we get a variation of Tulip's theme with MT, and then it immediately stops the moment she runs into Alan Dracula, like he's something entirely different from the rest of the train. Just like the first book, there are fantastic background music moments. 10 out of 10 for music. As the episodes progress, Jessie begins to open up and realize maybe agreeing and following everyone around him isn't necessarily a good thing. Especially when he brings up an incident where he and his friends play a trick on his younger brother and his brother gets seriously hurt. MT opens up as well, filling Jessie in on exactly who and what she is in the Toad car, which is just an empty car with a toad you have to kick to get out. I know this episode had some stronger emotional beats and character development, and that was great, but I can't get over the concept of this car. What were you thinking, 1-1? What were you thinking, Owen? You have cars that are literal worlds inside of themselves, and then you just have kick the Toad car. Well, I guess an Infinity Train means infinite possibilities, including the most basic ones. But still, kick the Toad, what on earth? As Jesse's realizing more about his character, he and MT become closer friends. And then we get to the Lucky Cat car with Janeway Cat. Okay, I know her official title is just The Cat, but I don't care, I'm calling her Janeway Cat. The point is, anytime this cat appears in the show, stuff goes down. And boy, does it go down here. Janeway Cat's running a prize booth with the biggest prize being the exit door to the car. Jesse and MT compete against a mysterious passenger to win the door. Ultimately, the mysterious passenger wins, but then this passenger releases a raid onto Janeway Cat's car, and this introduces a new character. This is Grace. We've actually seen her in book 1. She was one of the many faces shown in the engine car, and her number is one of the higher ones. It's a lot higher compared to the other passengers shown on that screen in the brief moment. Anyway, back to Grace. She leads this band of young passengers in kind of this Lost Boys setup, where instead of trying to get their numbers down to leave the train, she's encouraging these kids to keep their numbers up. And from here, I figured that Grace was going to be Jesse's real challenge. He spent the past episodes building a friendship with MT and struggling to realize his faults and blindly following others, just to stay liked, and Grace is certainly a powerful, charismatic leader. What's really interesting is Grace and her second-in-command, Simon, have created the society of rogue humans based around the unhinged ideas of Amelia, the woman who had taken over the train from 1-1 in the first book. We don't know for how long the train was under Amelia's control, but she ran it long enough to form a group of humans determined to stay on the train and make some kind of new life for themselves. The inhabitants created in the cars aren't living beings to Grace, and it's that idea that Jesse can't accept. When he sees how Grace and Simon treat his friends, Jesse is able to break away. He's able to stay loyal to MT as they escape. His number goes down to 0 because he's finally grown, and he is sucked home, unable to take his new, truest friend with him. And as for MT, the Flecks are right on her trail, moments from kidnapping her and destroying her for good. Infinity Train! Make your first real friend and potential soulmate, then watch him dissolve in your hands while you're seconds from being murdered. Are we sure this show is for kids? Should I have this review listed for kids? I feel like I don't know anymore. MT's a fighter, so she disposes of one of the metal Flecks in this really disturbing way and hurries to the engine room demanding to get a number so she can leave the train. We get some interesting visuals of how 1-1 runs to train, how people get their numbers in the first place by going through their memories, and oh, what is that? Nightmare fuel! Sorry. That's really disturbing. Seriously, if this were live action, that scene could fit right into NBC Hannibal. That's just creepy. Ugh, good luck sleeping tonight, me. So, where was I? The tapes. The tapes are how the train collects the passengers' memories. We saw Janeway Cat had a whole collection during Tulip's time on the train. And we finally have MT get face-to-face with 1-1! Look at this round ball of sunshine and misery debating about if it's possible to give MT a number. But it also looks like it's not entirely up to 1-1 because Jesse ends up back on the train. His number was 0, but he was in progress. He wasn't willing to accept that he had to leave MT behind. So he somehow got back on the train to get her. And when they reunite, their numbers indicate that they can only leave if they go together, as they run off the train, demolish the last Mirkop, and MT becomes Lake, the girl with a second chance at a new life and friendship with Jesse. I still don't know what's up with the deer, though. Seriously, what is Alan Dracula? What is he gonna go somewhere? What is the purpose of this deer? Is he just there? Have I been thinking too hard about this? I can't get over that one tape scene. It's still ingrained in my head. That and the girl crying over the dead lizard, I felt that. Okay, final thoughts on book 2. Overall, I don't think it was quite as strong as book one, but it was still a tightly packed, well-rounded season with intense characters and action and intensity around every corner. It has a completely different feel from the first book, but that's kind of the point of Infinity Train. The show's now being described as an anthology, and that's the best way to describe it. The train is the setting, but the characters and the themes vary. With that being said, I'm very curious about other lingering aspects of the train. Grace and her Apex group are kind of the anti-1-1, and they could definitely be a threat to the way 1-1 is trying to run things now. If MT or Lake could get off the train by making a connection with a passenger, is it possible for others created on the train to do the same thing? And more importantly, can we see our boy Atticus again? I want to know what the Corgi King's up to. 1-1 wants to know too. He spent like part of the episode rambling to himself about wondering what Atticus is up to. Did he just return to his own car, or is he kind of venturing around through other cars like MT was doing? Maybe these ideas will be tied into future seasons. I, for one, am thrilled that this show is willing to go intense, dark, and present down-to-earth, realistic characters going through struggles that the viewer can understand and possibly empathize with. It's the creepy anthology series I didn't know I needed, and I'm excited to see what else might be in store for the future. Well, that's all I've got to say. I'm not sure if I'm listing this video as for kids or not. I mean, it is a cartoon, but it's got intense adult themes in it, and some of the imagery is scary. I don't know. I'll just prep in case I do list it as for kids. So, with that in mind, I got a new system in place. I'm putting links down below of the Cartoon Corner playlist and a video from our channel that I'll recommend. If you really want to connect with us, I'm adding our email down below as well. You can send video suggestions and stuff you liked or didn't like about the video there. And of course, we still have that subscribe button in place, so if you want to stay tuned for more Cartoon Corners and other things we do here on the channel, hit the subscribe button and the bell and all that fun stuff. Yeah, I think that covers everything. Usually I don't get a lot of feedback on videos, so having it blank doesn't really change much for me, but I enjoyed this week of going through Infinity Train and kind of picking it apart and putting this script down. It took a long time, but I think I'm pretty excited just kind of talking through and picking through things day by day. I'm RJ, this was Cartoon Corner, and I need to wash my eyes out from that imagery from the tape car. Whoa, it came out of their heads. Doesn't that hurt?